Good evening and welcome to the June 23rd Beavercreek City Council meeting. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Kern.
Here.
Councilmember Garcia. Here. Councilmember Dewar. Councilmember Literal.
Here.
Councilmember Schwartz. Here. Vice Mayor Bales.
Here.
Mayor Adams.
Here. Do I have a motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to excuse Councilmember Dewar. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'll turn it over to Vice Mayor Bales.
Okay, please stand for the pledge and remain standing for a prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We come before you with grateful hearts for the privilege of serving this community and this great nation. As we approach Independence Day, we pause to reflect on the freedoms we cherish, freedoms won through sacrifice, preserved through courage, and strengthened through unity. We ask your guidance as we make decisions that affect the lives of our neighbors. Grant us wisdom, humility, and compassion in all that we do. In a world so often torn by conflict, including the events overseas this past month, we pray for peace. May our actions here at home reflect the values of justice, respect, and dignity for all people. Please bless our city and those who serve it. Amen.
Amen.
We have an agenda before us. Any changes?
Move we
additions,
approve the
corrections?
agenda, Your Honor.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. We have the June 9th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Any additions, corrections, deletions?
Motion to approve the June 9th meeting minutes.
I have a motion and a second to approve the June 9th regular meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We also have the work session minutes from June 16th. Any changes to those?
Motion to approve the June 16th work session minutes.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the work session minutes for June 16th. Oh, all of a sudden it got light in here.
Let there be
It's
light.
enlightening.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinances, resolutions, and PUDs. Resolution 25-15.
Resolution 2515, a resolution by City Council authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with the Beavercreek Development Corporation to receive the net sale proceeds from the sale of surplus property received by the Beavercreek Development Corporation.
Mr. Lonsberry.
Thank you. As council knows, the property was transferred to the BDC for sale of the property with the intent always that the money would eventually come back to the city, and then that the city could then, with that money, provide some seed money eventually to the BDC for future future purchases. So this just memorializes and allows the city manager to enter in that agreement so that the funds are once again transferred back to the city with less expenses, of course, with the intention that the BDC would eventually get some money from the city in the future.
Motion to approve Resolution 2515, Your Honor.
Is there any discussion? I just wanted to make sure before we do that. Okay. I have a motion on the floor.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 25-15. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 25-16.
Resolution 25-16, a resolution by City Council authorizing the law director to enter into an agreed order modifying the terms of the agreed order upon settlement filed May 17, 2000, in the matter of Michael D. Lafino versus City of Beavercreek, Ohio, in case number 398-CV-250, in the United States District Court, Southern District of Ohio, Western Division at Dayton, as modified by the agreed order upon settlement approved and filed November 8, 2018.
Mr. Lonsberry.
So this actually dates back to the late 90s, a zoning decision that was appealed. Actually, it was a referendum, then it was appealed to the Common Pleas Court, where there was a court settlement back in 2000. Any time that there's a change to the zoning there, we have to go through the court process. So this is one of those many steps, and hopefully this should be the last of the changes to the settlement order. There's a very small portion of the property that is not yet developed. The changes that are in the proposed settlement agreement are to increase the total square footage from 185,000 square feet to 200,000, and to increase the outlot square footage from 30,000 to 45,000 square feet. That would allow outlots, buildings to be built in the currently empty area of that development. So this, once again, would allow us to enter into that settlement agreement.
Discussion?
Your Honor, I'd move that we approve 2516.
Second.
A motion and a second. No, really no comments on resolutions, but go ahead.
I understand. My question comes from the section 2 that's on there that requires that these deliberations be in a public forum. So I asked where these forum minutes would be, what time were the meetings, because I looked back a long time and did not find anything. But how did they come up with the increased size? Is there going to be any kind of a what's the impact analysis? Was that done? That's 4.4 acres is what they have, plus 1.3 acres. And where is Fairfield Place Court? Because there was no address reference, and I have no idea. Looked all over the Beavercreek map, so those are questions that I have.
Lounsbury was used.
So this is through a court process done through the Greene County Common Pleas Court between attorneys in discussing what changes can be made to the settlement agreement, and ultimately it will be proposed to the judge to agree upon.
There's no address on this place?
It's Milano's,
Yeah.
back behind Milano's.
Okay. That helps, thank you.
Yeah, we don't have control of that anymore.
I
It was a
understand.
referendum that was overturned by a judge. That now belongs to the courts. They make the decisions.
Okay, thank you.
Have a motion. There's a motion and a second. Okay, I missed them. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Liquor license. Captain Molnar.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. What I have for you tonight is two separate liquor licenses. The first is just a transfer. The Ohio Division of Liquor Control sent notification of a request for a stock ownership transfer for Marine Incorporated, doing business as Marion's Pizza, located at 1320 North Fairfield Road, Beavercreek, Ohio 45432. The current stock ownership was revised to replace one of the previous owners with a new owner. There was no personal history questionnaire provided with this request, and staff has no concerns or objections. Staff is further recommending this application request move forward without comment. And then the second liquor license is
We'll do one at a time.
Motion to
One at a
accept without
time.
comment.
oh, I'm sorry.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the liquor license transfer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now we can do the second one.
I forgot.
No worries.
All right, the second is also a transfer. The Ohio Department of Commerce Division of Liquor Control sent notification of a request for a liquor permit transfer from WT PADS LLC, doing business as Cold Beer and Cheeseburgers Bar and Grill, to Posteria LLC, doing business as Meef's Posteria, at 2495 Commons Boulevard and Patio Suite A, Beavercreek, Ohio 45431. A personal history questionnaire was included for one applicant. The required records checks were completed and no criminal history was found. Staff does not have any objections or concerns and recommends that this application request move forward without comment.
Motion to accept without comment.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept without comment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Decision item.
Your Honor, I'm going to recuse myself from this decision item.
Canterbury Trails Buffer. Debbie have anything on this? No,
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Yes, the topic of discussion before you this evening is a change or a proposed modification to the buffer that's around Canterbury Trails, which is the overall name for the single-family developments around the golf course. During one of our construction inspectors, our engineer from our engineering department was out doing an inspection just on stormwater and grading, and kind of looked up the line of trees that are on the northeast side of hole 7. And the current regulations require there to be a 25-foot no disturbance area. And as looking up the line, he noticed one of the lots had a noticeable cut in, and notified the code enforcement department. So our code enforcement supervisor went out and looked at the property in question, and indeed noticed there was, and found that there was encroachment into that 25-foot no disturbance area. And so in the course of trying to find a solution for that issue, staff looked through the regulations that pertain to Canterbury Woodlands and Canterbury Trails, and the regulations that pertain to Amberwood, which is the development where this lot that has that encroachment in, and noticed there was some distinct differences between how the buffers were defined. So what we were looking to do is try to standardize those buffers and make it the same for one side of the hole as the same as the other side of the hole. Again, there was an encroachment that we had found that they had cleared out the underbrush and honeysuckle and trees within that 25-foot area, constructed a stone retaining wall and a stone patio with a putting green on it. They didn't get the permit that's required to build that retaining wall, and if they had gotten that, we would have been able to point out, hey, there's a 25-foot do not disturb area. The work that was done out there is very attractive, and I had a few pictures of that. You can see the wall and the patio and the steps and the landscaping that was put in below where some of the underbrush was removed. Also, there was some encroachment actually onto the city property, city golf course property out. You can see in the top right picture, it's kind of a rock creek bed kind of thing going, and that's actually somewhat on the city's property. So that was also an encroachment. As stated, Amberwood was, when it was approved in 2022, one of the conditions did require a 25-foot no disturbance area, and I've highlighted that in red on the, that's a copy of the subdivision Mylar that's actually a legal document that creates the lots that's recorded with the county. The lot in question is the one I highlighted in yellow. Looking through our zoning code, just so I can get a better fix on what a no disturbance area is, there's no actual definition of that in our zoning code. But if you look at the condition that was approved with Amberwood, the caveats in that condition best align a no disturbance area with the definition of a woodland easement. And as council may recall, when Bridlewood came through, we had them remove the conservation easement or woodland easement from the northern property line because of the challenges that you would find, the undesirable effects of having a woodland adjacent to a residential property, where the homeowner can't clear out the honeysuckle and the poison ivy and the weeds and the brush. Woodland easement is you can't do anything with it. It just needs to remain as it is. So there are environmental concerns that come along with woodland easement next to a residential development. There's safety concerns, and there are aesthetic concerns. Again, there's some discrepancy between the two single-family residential subdivisions. You can see, and this is kind of easier to see, along hole 7, where you've got Amberwoods to the northeast, there's the 25-foot no disturbance area, which is a woodland easement. And then on the south side of the hole, and at Woodlands and Canterbury Trails and along some of Bent Creek, particularly to the west of Bent Creek, but south of Woodlands, it's a 25-foot no-cut zone. And in our no-cut zone / landscape buffer. And in the definition of that in our zoning code, you can have a lawn, you can have passive and active recreation so long as you don't cut down trees that are larger than 4 inches in diameter. So the no cut means no cutting of trees of 4 inches in diameter or larger. Just wanted to show along Amberwood, there are some portions of the existing woods that are on city property. And so if the no disturbance area were changed to a no-cut zone, the areas on the golf course would still remain. I mean, the city has the option to do what they want on the golf course side. And so, there's between 50 and in some points it pinches closer, like 17, 18 feet to the actual cart path. Again, I just want to highlight out the definition where, and I stated this before, where you can have a lawn and landscaping on a green space easement, no cut zone or landscape buffer, so long as you're not removing those 4-inch trees or more. And even if we were to go through a minor mod and get the no disturbance area changed to a landscape buffer, no cut zone, the homeowner in question would still need to get a permit for their retaining wall. They would need to replant some significant number of trees, 5 or more, depending on how many trees we would find the neighbors have that are 4 inches or larger in that area. They would need to plant those in the backyard and remove any of the landscaping that was put on the city golf course property and plant some landscaping to make up for the removal of the landscaping that was on the golf course. So really, we're just looking for guidance on how to proceed. If you look through the different levels of modifications to a PUD, changing this falls under a minor modification, and procedurally that's a decision item by Planning Commission, so it wouldn't come back to this body. But knowing the sensitivity here, we wanted to bring this forward to council just to get their input on the veracity and whether that's something that they would like to see us proceed on or not. But again, our intent here is not to not enforce the current regulations. It's that we're trying to more uniform or make the regulations uniform on both sides of the golf course by relabeling the no disturbance area to a no cut zone. But thank you for listening. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I know that there's a public comment portion of this as well, so I'll belay my answers, or unless council wants, but I'll be available at any time. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Well, this is a decision item that's not normally open to public input, but we will be doing that tonight. So if anyone would like to come forward and speak to this, plus on either side, please step up, give your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes. An extra additional 6 minutes can be donated to you.
Afternoon again, Bob Trout, 2187 Bassett Court. I saw the indications and everything else like that, but I asked the council, or offer this opinion, that if it is an improvement that makes the homeowners look better, makes the city look better, anything else like that, other than the part that is on golf course property, I think that would be a benefit to this city to have it looking good. That golf course is a nice golf course, and like I said, not only gets used, it gets looked at. So that is my piece. I think you should say yes on allowing improvements in that area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, hello. My name is Thomas Rusmark. My address is 2651 Wyndham Drive, and I cede my time to Pete Bayless. Thank you.
Odd being on this side. My name is Pete Bales, 2391 Forest Oaks Drive. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I'm here to speak against the decision item to ask Planning Commission to consider the minor modification to the specific site plan conditions at Amberwood. Specifically, the proposal to weaken the 25-foot non-disturbance buffer along the golf course and convert it into what's known as a no-cut zone. At face value, that might seem like a very simple adjustment, but in practice, it represents a significant erosion of what City Council and Planning Commission and our residents were promised just 3 years ago. Let's remember how we got here. In 2022, during Planning Commission's review at Amberwood, the 25-foot non-disturbance buffer was discussed at length. At the May 4th Planning Commission meeting, Director Burkett said, and I quote, "It's important to keep the trees in this section to maintain the integrity of the golf course and separate a public golf course from a private residential neighborhood." He went on to state, "I pulled the conditions from the woodlands at Canterbury Trails so they match the existing single-family residential neighborhood." And at minute 54 of that same meeting, Chairman Mike Self asked whether those trees would be protected. And Mr. Burkett replied, "They're not going to touch anything in that 25-foot area. We added this condition for future homeowners so that this is not only a no grading area, but a no disturb area. They can't cut the trees back there, so it will stay woods." There was no ambiguity. This buffer wasn't incidental, it was intentional. And council approved the plan with that understanding. So what has changed? A single property owner on lot 14 cleared the woods, built a retaining wall, added a patio, and even encroached on city-owned golf course land without a permit. A clear violation of what was established in the site plan. Now, instead of enforcing the rules we spent months developing, we're being asked to change the rules to accommodate a single violation. That's not good planning. The proposed no-cut zone is not a true buffer. Under city code, a no-cut zone or landscape easement allows for lawns, fencing, passive or active recreation, and even stormwater improvements, as long as no large trees are removed. But it explicitly allows for the clearing of underbrush, small trees, and shrubs. It allows manicured lawns in place of natural vegetation. In essence, it takes away what is now a natural woodland buffer and allows it to be landscape modified and potentially used recreationally. That's not preserving woods, it's redefining woods. And let's not forget the part of the rationale being offered for this change is that the stricter no disturbance standard is inconvenient and the dead or dangerous trees have to exist within the buffer. That's not true. We've already addressed that provision in the language, allowing for tree removal if a certified arborist deems the tree to be dead, dying, or diseased with city approval. So there's really no maintenance problem. There's no ambiguity. The tools already exist within the current condition to manage that area properly. Let's be honest about what this is. It's not about better or more consistent policy. It's about retroactively making an illegal structure legal. It's about rewarding a violation with a variance for all residents, not just lot 14. It sends exactly the wrong message to every builder and homeowner in Beavercreek. If someone violates a condition, especially one stated in the site plan, the consequence should not be to change the law to fit the action. And let's consider the precedent. It's not just about lot 14. If we allow this change, it will impact every other property in the same buffer. We could quickly go from a shaded woodland corridor protecting the golf course to a patchwork of patios, fences, mowed lawns, and piecemeal landscaping. And once it's gone, it's gone. That kind of inconsistency hurts the homeowners who follow the rules, the golfers whose views and inconsistent golf shots were considered and protected, and the neighbors who were promised this buffer as a part of the overall land use strategy. Amberwood was intentionally designed to mirror the woodlands at Canterbury Trails, which has upheld its buffer restriction in their HOA for decades. Weakening Amberwood standards undermines neighborhood cohesion. Council already made a promise to the neighborhood, to the Planning Commission, and that promise was clear. The 25-foot buffer is protected, not mowed, not landscaped, not used for recreation, protected. And I ask that you enforce that promise and not erase it. Please do not send this to the Planning Commission for reconsideration. Stand by the original condition and uphold the integrity of the site plan. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council members. John Cherry, the lot in question, 2631 Lot 14. So the objective in my 3 minutes is just to foot stomp and support the arguments that Mr. Burkett has made. And so if you'll allow me just to summarize what we understood from last week's meeting and then earlier today. Basically, the intent is to protect Beavercreek's natural resources while addressing critical safety and aesthetic concerns and fairness and equity, to be honest, by all residents by replacing the slight modification of a no disturbance zone, which doesn't have a definition, to match everything else that's a no cut zone. So some of the comments that I highlighted from his last week's presentation was, again, zoning code does not have a no disturbance area. However, there is a definition for a no-cut zone. Zoning staff previously advised against using the term closely that aligns with woodlands easements near residential properties. They recommend converting Amberwood's no disturbance area to the no-cut zone. This slight modification would still protect the buffer while allowing more beautiful and practical enforcement management standards. The request is in keeping with other single-family residential developments adjacent to the golf course, specifically those across from the number 7 fairway on Forest Oaks. Any other decision would be inconsistent and inequitable for new neighbors and not in keeping with the true city zoning intent. The no disturbance area established under Amberwood and Bent Creek is significantly more restrictive than the setback and buffer standards applied to previously established neighborhoods. The subdivider may have mistakenly used the wrong verbiage when they brought Amberwood subdivision case forward to the Planning Commission. And I quote, "When staff was drafting resolution motion for Amberwood, simple language or sample language from a 2001 design standards argument or agreement between Ryan Homes and the city was used. In hindsight, staff should have used language that was found in the approval for the woodlands at Canterbury Trails for consistency. The woodlands at Canterbury Trails are also contained in the no-cut zone. City zoning staff have routinely expressed concerns over the woodland easements, which would most closely align with the no disturbance area for the following reasons. This limitation leads to accumulation of dying vegetation. It leads to unmanaged appearance. It looks neglected and unattractive to homeowners and golfers. Dead trees and low-hanging limbs present a safety hazard. Accumulation of unmanaged wood areas creates dry fuel and significantly increases wildfire risk. Overgrowth attracts undesirable wildlife. Invasive plant species like honeysuckle, multi-rose, ivies, they dominate that area. This area creates opportunities for trespassers to conceal themselves near our residential homes."
That's your 3 minutes. Do you have someone that can donate more? Come forward, give your name and address, please.
2631 Golden Leaf Drive, Lot 14. I don't know if you want me to finish with that, but,
You can donate it or you can talk, either one.
well, I guess, we wanted to make what was wrong right. It should have been presented as a consistent zoning when Amberwood went in. Evidently, they used a 2001 design standard when they presented in 2022. And it just seems that on both sides of the fairway, there should be equal standards based on what you can do with the extension of your lawn. I guess we're coming to you with looking for an equitable solution. And to us, it seems that we should have the same standard on our side of the fairway as the residents on the other side of the fairway. I don't know if there's anything else.
Yeah, and I think, it's been portrayed as,
How much time do you have left on hers? Okay, just donate.
so it's been characterized a couple times that trees have been removed. Not a single tree has been removed anywhere behind that lot. Not one single tree. Honeysuckle and poison ivy. I have a great video when we were trying to select lot 15, 14, 13 on down the line, standing in the middle of that area with a 360-degree pan. Not a single tree has been touched. 2 inches, 1 inch, 8 inches, 10 inches. Honeysuckle was the only invasive plant life, and poison ivy and poison oak, that was removed from that area. So, yeah, I mean, all you have to do is walk down hole number 7 and look to your right. And it's very clear where the very first gentleman mentioned that we've added beauty, and it at no detriment to anything to the golf course. I have a statement by the Director of Operations, Golf Operations at Beavercreek, and it states very plainly that there has been no negative impact on golf operations, golf maintenance, golf play, anything to that effect. I think that's all I wanted to say.
So we would just ask that you move the no-cut finer mod forward.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Quincy Hearns, 2472 Forest Oaks Drive. I live on the exact opposite side. Also the president of the ADJOURNMENT, so I'm very familiar with kind of what's going on with this one. So just to kind of start my 3 minutes. So just real quick, according to our design restrictions, I'm not for sure the reference with respect to the no-cut zone, but it is a non-disturbance area in what we have. I lived in this house for about 7 years, and I've never touched any of the honeysuckle. I've never touched anything back there. I applaud, the gentleman for, doing what he's done, but is this about, hey, doing what you want to kind of make things look nice or kind of following the rules? Because here's what's going to happen. As soon as we open up this Pandora's box, I'm going to probably get a lot of emails going, hey, can I do the same thing? And how much can I go back? And I'm going to say you can go all the way back to the line and build fences, recreation areas, whatever you want. Again, there's no standards for that per se, but I can already kind of see what's going to come with respect to opening up that Pandora's box. Now, again, I'm all about making the neighborhood looks better. That is part of my job, at least as the HOA president. And again, I'm always looking for ideas to kind of figure out how to get that done. But one thing that we do is we try to abide by our covenants. And then when folks break those covenants, we are engaged to make sure that, hey, you guys stay off our back, but also to maintain, I think the word was used, consistency. And that's really what's important. And again, you have to ask yourself, what is the desired intent of the golf course? If we want it to be aesthetically pleasing and beautiful, I think that's okay. I really do. But if you want to have that natural woodlands feel that when you play on that golf course or drive into that neighborhood, that's going to be gone because all that stuff's going to be gone and cleared out. So again, in my mind, it comes back to, hey, what is the desired intent for the city for that area? In my mind, this kind of goes just back to trying to put a lot back there to even begin with. When we talked about this 3 years ago, I came down here and we were like, this is a good idea of putting a lot of houses back there. And again, this is one of those second, third unintended consequences of, okay, as we try to cram a lot of people into a lot of spaces with smaller lots, again, people get creative. And I think, again, that's okay. But at the same time, we tried to make sure that we stay within the right and left boundaries so that you don't have that one or two guys or gals that really go off into left field. Not to say that yours was, but you get my point with respect to, can I put a basketball court out in mine? Can I put a tennis court out there? You know, again, recreation was a putting green. I think that's cool, but what's stopping me, if you approve this, from going out there and putting the basketball court in? What will stop me from doing that? Probably nothing. Okay, and I put a fence around it to make sure that no one else can get into it. Now, if that's what you want, that is okay, right? But again, there's got to be a better way to kind of get to the desired solution than automatically just changing something. Again, I think we're all smart people. We can figure out a better amicable solution, a win-win, but I'm not sure if this is it because, again, you open up that Pandora's box. There's a lot of homes around those holes, a lot of homes around those homes. And then once people see that, they're going to be, well, how come I can't do that? And I'm not going to be able to answer that question, and I'm going to send them to you guys. That's all I got.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Seeing none, I will close the public portion of it, and we will go to council. Start with Mr. Literal.
Mr. Burkett, I had a question. Can we get that screen pulled back up for a minute? It was the one where that showed the red line and the orange line. Yeah, that one. Obviously, at some point, as I think Mr. Bales pointed out, there was obviously a reason or a purpose that they decided, because I wasn't on council at the time, so I'm just going by the few notes here, but it looks like you talked about it for a long time. 9 minutes in, 54 minutes in. But can you remember why one side was determined to be no disturbance? I mean, I agree that there may not be a definition, but I think that everybody that understands the English language can understand what the words no disturbance mean.
Sure. Yeah, well, when we were creating the motion for approval of Amber Woods, to get the exact verbiage that was in place for Woodlands, but this was in their homeowners association documents, not, and that's where like I said, I should have used the language that's in the motion for approval for Canterbury Trails, but I used the language that was in the homeowners association documents and the design agreement between the city and Ryan Homes from 2001, I believe it was. So from a private standpoint, I know it's been confusing who has what. From a private standpoint, Woodlands that Canterbury Trails does have in their HOA docs that there is a no non-disturbance area, but that the city doesn't enforce that. That's not something that we consider. That's a private agreement between property owners. So I'm only looking at what is the city enforces, which is the conditions motion of approval, the decision sheet. And where I guess I erred was I used the language in the HOA docs rather than the language that was in the motion of approval for Canterbury.
Okay. I guess when we discussed this last week, I guess my interpretation wasn't. I didn't fully understand the significant difference between what we're calling a no disturbance zone and a no cut zone. I know we're calling it a slight mod, but I don't understand why, because we're not even comparing apples to apples here. I mean, a no disturbance zone means you don't disturb nothing. No cut zone means you can almost do whatever you want with it.
As long as you're not cutting trees that are.
As long as there's just no trees.
Not much left.
But you can do
You're not
anything.
cutting trees that are 4 inches or larger.
So I would, from my perspective, I'm not going to assume anything, through the difference between a no disturbance zone and a no cut zone is that the property owner gains more land, more property to use as they see fit,
So long as they're not cutting down the larger trees.
as long as there's no trees. Okay.
There is a condition in Amberwood that states you can't have a fence closer than 25 foot to your rear property line, so that would still be a setback for a fence.
I've been out on the golf course before. I don't feel like a simple modification to language is going to hold true to the character of the neighborhood by calling that entire area back behind there now just no cut zones where people can do whatever they want. So I'm not sure if it is exactly going to be appropriate for that. In that this happened merely 3 years ago. I feel for the property owners here. I empathize with you greatly, but I truly believe that this could have been handled differently if permits would have been obtained, if questions could have been raised to council at the time and said, hey, maybe this isn't fair. Why can't we do something like this? Not just go out and let everybody have a free-for-all in the situation. There was no permits pulled. You claim that you looked at that property from the beginning with the intention to remove what was in the 25-foot zone. So, defer to you.
Yeah, this is an important, go ahead.
So I guess this would be a question I would have for Mr. Burkett, is for a patio, do you have to pull a permit? For a patio? Okay. Okay.
That's all I have.
Chuck?
Looking at those no disturb, or the buffer, looking at it, if you just preserve the 4-inch tree and you clear everything out, it looks to me to be pretty bare. There's not much left. As you look at those buffers, yes, they have a lot of invasive species in there, but the whole idea was to screen a particular unit from the golf course or from another unit. And if you say, well, the only thing is we're not going to cut trees that are 4-inch in diameter or anything like that, everything else goes, most of those buffers would look pretty bad, in my opinion. Pretty well cleaned out. Yes, you'd have trees, but you wouldn't have the, what do you call it, the insulation or the privacy that I saw and the buffers driving up and down those golf course lanes. Just an opinion.
Is it?
Thank you.
Councilwoman Garcia?
Yeah, thank you. I think I'm slightly confused on this, and I apologize, because I think I had a different working theory of this at the work session than I do now. So we have, sir, I'm sorry, you're with which homeowners association do you represent? Yes. Okay. So is there a homeowners association for Amberwood? Okay. So that's why the city's still involved, because the HOA has not been solidified.
Typically,
for Amberwood,
they
correct?
don't form an association until at least half the lots are owned.
Okay.
There are documents, though. I mean, there's covenants of restriction.
So can you clarify for me, in the document that was circulated earlier about the Woodlands HOA design restrictions and then the Amberwood specific site plan condition, the specific site plan condition says 25 feet, no disturb zone, right?
Correct. Which is for Amberwood.
Right.
Right, and that's the red, the thicker red line.
I apologize. Where is the other language that says no cut zone or would be any less restricting?
If you go to the conditions of approval for, well, let me get there. These are the two conditions that are in the motions of approval. For Woodlands, it says,
Yeah, I think I'm confused because the proposal would be to change what's already written in numeral 11, right? The modification
To
would be
match
to change.
the condition in number 10 of Woodlands.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly that there is nothing written currently for Amberwood that is ambiguous, right? There's nothing in here that, I mean, no disturb zone be less than 25 feet. I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something, that there's
No, I
not
mean,
another
that's
document
what's in-
circulating. Okay.
That's what's on currently the rules.
So I would just, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I would just say this. So many times I've said up here that we are handcuffed, or at least I feel handcuffed, that residents come and ask for questions, or residents come and ask us to rule a certain way in their favor, and so many times we can't do it. We've received email correspondence on this, people being outspoken against this. We've had at least, I'm assuming you would speak for more than one person within your HOA as the representative of the HOA. So I would just ask council to kind of take that into consideration, is that, very rarely are we able to listen to the will of some of the residents on this. So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying that's kind of where I'm in that spot right now. But I appreciate that clarification, because I think the more I listened to this, I was worried that there were two different conditions written, when very clearly it says no disturb zone. So.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Schwartz.
Mayor. Randy, I have a couple questions for you. You may not be able to answer this because it really doesn't pertain to what is written up there in that condition. But are you aware of any issues in the maintenance of the woodlands of Canterbury Trails as it's written in their HOA documents? So they're using the more restrictive language in their HOA documents. Presumably you, as the planning director, aren't getting involved in.
Yeah, if there's a dispute, or if there were an encroachment into that, beyond cutting the trees that are 4 inches or larger, that would be a private matter that we would be involved in. I know that there's a few lots out there that has, or at least one that has a patio that appears, I haven't measured it because it's not, but it appears like it's in that 25-foot area. And then there's a few lots that appear, and I don't know exactly, but it appears that there's a retaining wall that's closer in that 25-foot area. But it could be outside of it. Again, I never measured. I'm just looking at aerial photos.
Okay. And then if there is a no-cut zone in place, which is what we're proposing to change this to, I want to make sure I'm using the right language. For example, if Mr. Cherry were to have wanted to put a shed in that area, could he have put a shed in that area? If the land, as he states, doesn't have the trees in it. So my understanding is he doesn't have any trees in his backyard. When he went to clear it, he did not take out any trees. I know you said you couldn't put a fence within 25 feet of the setback. Can you put a structure within 25 feet of the setback?
In that definition, it's the last sentence of green space, no cut zone lands. It's no accessory buildings or structures
Okay,
except
thank you.
fences shall be permitted within areas so designated.
Perfect, thank you. Sorry, I should have read that.
That's all right. No, I mean, that's a long definition and a lot of words.
And I think that's all the questions I have for you, Randy. Thank you.
Yep.
I do have a question for legal. What is the repercussions, or would there be any repercussions for retroactively changing this condition to accommodate the landowner?
Repeat that.
Sorry. What would be or would there be any legal repercussions to amending these conditions to accommodate the landowner in this circumstance?
The repercussions would be it would affect the entire area, so it's not just this landowner that will be affected by the change. As mentioned, anyone in that area could then clear it out and do what anything would be allowed under the zoning code's definition of a no-cut zone.
Would we be setting a precedent that could subject us to future litigation by making such a change instead of enforcing what we've already put in place?
So we have a process for minor modifications, and I don't think we would be, you're not required to, I don't think so, no. I don't think there would be a precedent set by doing that. Other than, of course, the precedent for all of the properties in that area.
Absolutely.
Which it will absolutely
Understood.
set a precedent for.
Yeah, understood. I just meant in other matters. I'm really torn on this. I'll be very honest with you. You know, we have the BZA process, and unfortunately, there are a lot of homeowners that don't get permits or that don't follow the requirements, and we have to tell them to move their fences or tear their sheds down or follow the requirements that we have in place. I have a little bit of an issue with retroactively making those changes. I am comforted that the fact that we may, or that it should not impact any future litigation because we have a process in which to make that modification. But also understand the significance of maintaining the, I don't remember what it's called, the no-touch zone or the non-disturb zone. I also did not realize until this meeting that the woodlands at Canterbury Trails have the no-disturb zone within their covenants, which is news to me. Not that it matters because that's a private covenant, but it does put a little more perspective in that if we were to change that, it is going to impact those other lots, or could potentially impact those other lots. I don't have any other comments, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not a big fan of no-touch areas. I'm really not. But I remember when we did this, one of the things I talked about was I thought it was really important to keep that 25-foot buffer there by that hole, mainly because I have a tendency to put my ball over there. That aside, can you pull back, go to, Randy, can you, or Pete, or whoever, I want to go, one other than that shows a larger view, there you go. Because we still have some other areas there that are no disturb, correct? Around the golf course?
Yeah, Bent Creek, I guess, Bent Creek East, they did include that, though. That was, Bent Creek was approved in 2005, and the first section was done in 2005. So its motion has the same no cut zone in the decision sheet. When they went through the subdivision process, which is just planning commission, they put on the Mylar do not disturb area. It wasn't something that we initiated or asked for. It was just one of those things that they recorded with the.
But they've had to live with that.
It's on,
since.
I mean, that's a tough one because it's, if it's putting down on the Mylar, I'd have to ask legal if that's something that we have to enforce, even though it's not a condition of approval. And I don't believe that there was a condition in the approval of the subdivision that required it either. It's just shown on there.
I mean, one of the arguments
for me, where it's on the Mylar but not a condition of the PUD.
One of the arguments is
Trump too,
consistency, and that doesn't show consistency now.
Correct.
So, and one other question, of all of the things that have been done to that property, how many of them should have had a permit?
Well, the retaining wall should have had a permit, and the wall around the patio should have a permit. The putting green would be something I'd have to, I don't know. I can't think of a permit that's required with a putting green. I mean, if somebody put their yard into AstroTurf, there's no permit.
Unless it's going into a 25-foot buffer.
Other than encroaching, I'm just, if it were outside of the 25-foot or anywhere, I mean, you do need to get a retaining wall permit, and you need to get a permit for a sitting wall, anything that sits up above grade like that. So that wall there, and then the retaining wall you can see in the top right picture, and the bottom, and the top left picture, in the center picture.
That's all I have.
I have one more question. I'm sorry, Randy, before
Sure.
you sit down.
Yeah.
Have we consulted with, do we have a tree advisory board as well as an environmental, maybe advisory board of some sort? I know we have the tree advisory board. Have we consulted with any of them about the differences between the no-cut zones and the no-touch zones, specifically as it relates to the removal of the invasive species?
No, but that would be an interesting conversation. It's just not something that I mean, particularly with this one, they meet once a month, so maybe
Yeah.
something.
Well, I mean, Mayor brings up a good point, and something that I had thought about, I just hadn't written down, was that, I do believe in the removal of invasive species where we can. So I am just so torn on this issue. Thanks, Randy. That's all I have. Thank you.
Randy, I'm sorry, just one more question. You mentioned earlier, even if we did the modification, that the homeowner would still be required to get a permit.
Correct.
So what are the ramifications with a permit currently as written versus a permit with the modification?
We wouldn't be able to issue a permit with the
The way it is.
disturbance area in place.
So what is,
Yeah, okay, yeah, see that picture, that marker?
so what happens if it's built and you can't issue a permit?
They'll have to remove it. Yeah, everything, right, where that tape measure is, right there, and you can see it on the bottom picture as well, that represents 25 feet from the back property line.
And then with the modification, the permit would be issued, but you would be requiring, would you say, you said you'd be requiring trees to be planted, or?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to, there's several ways you could do that. I mean, it'll have to go through a minor mod, and we can add conditions to the minor mod, such as any lot that removes any honeysuckle or underbrush within the 25-foot no-cut zone has to supplement it with evergreen trees or shade trees, or, I mean, we can put back more trees. With this particular one, not knowing what was there before, we would just have them put 5 or 6 or however many trees the neighbors have that are 4 inches or larger in that lower area between the property line and the patio, or the bottom of the steps.
So let's say in theory, theoretical, we don't make the modification, and they don't request a permit. What happens?
We will issue a zoning violation notice and state that they have to remove everything that's within the 25
What are
foot.
those violations? Or what's the violation of that if it stays?
If they don't respond to the
Yeah.
zoning violation, I mean, eventually, it would end up as a criminal citation in Greene County, or Fairborn Municipal Court.
Criminal citation?
Try not to go that far, but we've got two of them going on right now, so at least 2 that I know of. It's not for encroachments, but it's for other zoning violations.
Yeah, okay. May I ask one more question? Sorry, to the
Certainly.
homeowners, were you just unaware that you needed a permit for this type of structure? Were you unaware of the conditions within the specific site plan, or both?
We were unaware that you needed a permit for a patio. In order to make a patio, you had to level out the ground. We had a greater than 3-to-1 slope ratio. We had a chief engineer.
Sir, if you're going to please step up the mic so we can, it's being recorded, so
Sorry.
people can hear it.
So we looked at the patio. The person that did this job, he's been doing it for 40 years. so we don't need to do it for a patio. We overlooked the wall. That is our. It is. And the other point is, everybody is saying we're removing trees out to the golf course. The golf course still has a 25 or a 30-foot buffer before it even gets to my property line. So all of the accusations that we've cleared everything out, if you look, there is still one heck of a buffer from my property line to the golf course. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's on, I just wasn't close enough. The question was whether or not you were provided with the documentation when you purchased the home of the homeowners association rules and specific site plan conditions.
Not to our knowledge. We would have never willfully violated anything. We've been residents of Beavercreek, Ohio for 35 years. We thought the 25-foot was from the back of our house extending back. And we're within that. Now, I will really I'll question where the tape is, because that isn't even close to being accurate where 25-foot would lie from the pins forward. So that is probably, that depiction is off by a factor of, or by at least 8 feet. My 25-foot no disturbance, no cut line falls about right on the top of where the third blue bucket is. It does not encroach into the patio where he has it depicted. And all this about a putting green, I guess I don't even know why we're even talking about a putting green. But we're just asking for this to be the same standard on this side of hole 7 as it is across the hole. We want the same no-cut zone. We don't want to enforce something that doesn't exist in city definitions.
I appreciate that, thank you. I think just to follow up, I think my confusion is that it looks like it is the same, is that the 25-foot no disturbance is in both. I think that's where I'm confused.
Because one's in the HOA covenants, but not in the zoning.
But they're in both HOA covenants, right?
There's a difference between the HOA covenants can be changed by the homeowner association. The city would have no input on that.
And it's because there's no HOA currently established for Amberwood that we're saying that this is, I think that's where I'm getting caught up in all of this, because to me, it looks like the exact same language in both ones.
I'm only speaking of the language that's in the motion of approval,
Right.
not what's in the
Help me
HOA.
out here.
So both of the modification, on the specific site plans, the conditions are different. But Woodlands implemented a more stringent requirement in their HOA documentation that matches what has now been proposed with Amberwood.
So
Or what is
regardless of
in
what
place
was-
for Amberwood.
Okay, so regardless of what was in the Woodlands specific site plan condition, the homeowners have to abide by what's in the HOA, which is the more restrictive covenant.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
But they could change it
They
to a
could.
less
Yeah,
restrictive.
but the city
Correct.
can't.
Correct.
But they could.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, I'm sorry.
Sorry, it took me a while too.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay, I just want to follow that questioning. A light bulb went off. So with that being said, if we make the modifications as Amberwood eventually planning to have an HOA, and if their intent was to have a no disturbance zone, but we say this is okay, now they want the no disturbance zone, can they still do that even though we say?
The HOA can do, they can be much more.
But with the existing property the way it is, I think they would have probably be grandfathered in.
Okay. Okay.
May I? Okay. Sir, I'm so sorry, I missed your name at the beginning, but the gentleman here from the Woodland HOA, was your concern that if this is granted, that the residents of Woodland are going to want a less restrictive covenant? When you said please come up, sorry, for the microphone, but you were saying that because I heard you say they're all going to be coming before me and they're going
No,
to
no,
say
absolutely. So again, goodness multiplies. Again, I think what they have there is nice, but at the same time, it just opens up Pandora's box. And to be honest with you, I'm indifferent in the sense of, hey, look, again, I kind of go back to my original question. What is the desired intent? Anytime one neighbor does one thing, they look up to the others and go, like, how did you get that done? Everyone knows, and then they want to do the same thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, I would say, hey, look, if you want that, that's cool, but I can guarantee you that's what's going to happen with respect to people saying, hey, I want to build blah, 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 fortress in the back or nice stone patio wall. Cool. I mean, it's going to look like a castle, over in England. That's fine. But if that's what your desired intent is, again, I'm all about home improvement. I'm a big DIY guy. I love doing that type of stuff. I love our neighborhood. I love what it brings. But again, my original question is, hey, if you allow one, you're basically saying everyone has that freedom. And again, our restrictive covenants are based on what we thought was the original desired intent. Woodlands. And again, if you want the other stuff, that again, I'm totally fine with it. Just understand what is going to happen. Give an inch, take a mile. Again, and I'm all about, it's their properties. They can do whatever they want. But at that point, I don't have an argument.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I have another question for legal. If this is sent to Planning Commission for their evaluation, do the homeowners get notice? Are we required to provide all homeowners notice?
Randy might actually know that better than me.
Oh, sorry, Randy.
As a minor mod, no.
Be the party in question, I think. Correct?
We don't do public hearings. It's in public at a public meeting, but it's not a public hearing
Required
for a minor mod.
public hearing under the minor modification in the zoning code. You could treat it as such, and you could decide that you want to issue notice to the homeowners within a certain, but it's not required.
Would it be possible, and I hate to make this a bigger issue than it is, but I don't know that I am in agreement that this is a minor modification. And so could it be possible, like if we didn't treat it as a minor modification and we treated it as a major modification, what does that process look like?
If we treat it as a major modification, then yes, everybody since we'd be modifying all of Amberwood, everybody that has a property within 500 feet of Amberwood, any property in Amberwood would get a letter. It would be a public hearing at Planning Commission. They would be a recommending body, and then it would be a public hearing at City Council for them to make the decision.
So I don't know if we have the authority to do this, but I would recommend that we treat it as a major modification so that we can get that input.
No problem doing that.
That would be my recommendation. Defer to the rest of council.
I think my only question would be, would that change any potential penalties imposed upon the homeowner that now has this, does the change from major to minor modification impact penalties for a zoning?
No, there would be no difference.
Okay.
We would probably stay any kind of legal action until the matter was decided by City Council. It wouldn't require them to remove everything now and then you change it and then you can put it back. I would just put it on hold until, right.
Randy, if it goes to Planning Commission, then it goes with the 3 recommendations that you had on the screen here a little earlier. One, that the fine be paid, and well, you had 3 things up there. Yeah, homeowner get a permit, plant trees in a backyard, patio property, have to remove any landscape. Did that go as recommendations?
If I went either major or minor mod,
It would go as recommendations.
they would go as conditions of approval, where my thought process was to, if we were going to go the minor mod route, have the homeowner apply for the minor mod, and then the conditions of approval would be to add trees and get a permit, a de facto permit, and remove all landscaping and rebuild what was removed from the golf course property.
So I guess to give some background into why I'm making the recommendation to run it as a major mod, I think that I would like to hear the input of the citizens that are going to be impacted by this change on both sides. And, you know, we have citizens here, well, we have citizens in opposition, and we have the homeowner that's in favor. And so to get to Mr. Ernst's point, I think that I'd like to know what they want to see. I mean, what do they want their neighborhood to look like? What is their preference? Because I can't make that decision for them. We made that decision and we got that input when we made these conditions 3 years ago. I can't imagine that that would change, but it's possible. And so rather than putting all of the onus on our planning commission to make this incredibly difficult decision, that I think the 5 of us up here are having a difficult time making, I think that it would be best to have more input and be better informed on the issue from those homeowners. That's my recommendation.
I agree, more input is always better. My concern would be similar confusion to what I have tonight, where we would have residents from Woodland thinking that it's going to somehow change their HOA when it's not. I mean, it would, you know, maybe we can kind of guess from the comments we've already received as well as the email received. I just would want to make sure that we are very clear as to what the decision and talking points are for that meeting. Mr. Mayor, I defer.
On the taking it to a major mod and getting citizens' input is, we would be at a complete disadvantage because Amberwood is much smaller than Canterbury, Bentwood Creek. Like, the voices would be fewer.
And
The question, though, didn't you just say it would be sent to Amberwood residents?
It would be sent to all of Amberwood. It would be sent to everybody who has whose property is within 500 feet of any portion of Amberwood. So it would include
That would reach.
some Woodlands. It would probably include some Bent Creek. It might include some of the villas across the street. I'm not sure.
so it could include both neighborhoods, and I do understand your concern that percentage-wise it would look off because Amberwood's still being sold right now, so.
And from a pure city perspective, it's creating equity in our zoning, what do you call it? The zoning to be the same all the way around the golf course. So we have the HOAs that can restrict it further and do everything, but from a city perspective, we're looking to have the zoning be the same and equitable across the fairway, if you will. Thank you.
Lost all control, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I want like you said, we need input. I mean,
All I can tell you is, over the course of my 22 years in Beavercreek, things change, and what was appropriate way back when does not fit. Fences that come in have to change the heights and everything else like that. Things change, and we need to be responsive as a city to changes that come up there. Like I said, I looked at the pictures and everything else. That is a gorgeous piece of property. Yes, it is. It's not going to detract anything out there. Although, like I said, he did encroach into golf course property. That's an issue. But again, if he didn't have trees on it, he removed the invasive species, things of that nature, then why couldn't we provide a waiver or a permit with that waiver and somebody else down there? Let's take care of somebody that's taken the time to put forth the effort and the expense to better and beautify our city. That's what I'm saying. And that's all. Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Mayor, respectfully, I would have to disagree. This is not way back when. This was decided 3 years ago after lengthy discussion to make this a uniform neighborhood with what is already put in place. And this property is beautiful, but this is not about one property. This is about a neighborhood of properties and what that will look like in continuity with what's already in place with the HOA for Woodlands. So I guess my question is, it seems like the five of us are still at odds of this. What is the procedural option here to defer this to another meeting if we wanted to have further conversations?
Table it until the next meeting.
Is that something, Mr. Mayor, would you entertain that? Is that something we can do?
I would entertain that, but I'd like to have kind of a reason why. I mean, what do we expect to gain?
Personally, I think there has to be a different solution here. I'm not in favor of this modification whatsoever, but I do feel as though these homeowners got cheated by the person who did this because they were told they didn't need a permit, and that may be true for the patio, but the same person did their retaining wall, and that person should have known you need a permit for the retaining wall. So I am struggling with this here to send this through criminal action for that. I understand that there's also city implications as well, but I think I don't think the city side of it would have, I think this would have been worked out differently. So in my opinion, I'd like to see if there's other options we can explore on this aside from one or the other. Rip it up or let everybody have more leniency.
That making it a major mod would potentially provide us that option and give us that additional information. I also sympathize, but I've also worked with a contractor in the city of Beavercreek who also did not pull a permit as they were supposed to, and I also was cited with a violation because my fence was constructed improperly. So, as the homeowner, I mean, it's ultimately my responsibility. Now, could I have civilly sued the developer? Probably, or the fence guy? Probably, but I didn't.
You could make the motion to send it to Planning Commission as a major modification, so it's very clear that it would have to go through the major modification process.
Mayor, I would motion to send this to Planning Commission. Oh, I'm sorry.
You finish.
Mayor, I would motion to send this to Planning Commission as a major modification.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second to send this to Planning Commission as a major modification. All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No.
Roll call.
No roll call.
Councilmember Schwartz.
Yes.
Excuse me. Councilmember Literal.
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia. Councilmember Kern.
No.
Mayor Adams.
We need more information. I think I'd say yes. Okay, next up, council time.
We locked that.
Councilwoman Schwartz.
Thanks, Mayor. I don't have a ton of updates, except we have a Region 14 meeting tomorrow. We had postponed it due to the holiday last month, and so I will have some updates at the next council meeting. The second thing I wanted to mention is I think this is our last meeting before the 4th of July, which is wild to me. Time is flying by, and so I would just encourage our residents to get out, enjoy the parade and the fireworks, and again, thanks to the Yoshi family for their generous contribution so that we are able to enjoy the fireworks show down at Rotary Park, and just really looking forward to it. Thanks.
Councilwoman Garcia.
Thank you. I was just going to tell everyone have a great 4th because we won't be here before 4th of July. I know last parade more people recognized my son than me, which is fine, but everyone knew my son, so he's excited for the parade again. And have a safe holiday.
Councilman Literal.
I don't have anything other than happy 4th of July. Thanks.
Yes, Your Honor, I attended the Chamber of Commerce Links over at Courtyard Marriott. They had a nice turnout, and a lot of new small businesses were introduced at the meeting, and looks like they're doing even more. Wendy, the president of it, was on the TV talking about is on the things that she's doing to challenge small business and bring more activity. So I thought that was a fantastic meeting. Also, wish everybody a happy 4th and come out for the parade. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I got the chance to attend a ribbon cutting for Hope Spot last week, new resource center up in Spicer Heights. It was a very nice, well-attended meeting, or ribbon cutting. I want to thank you for your deliberate conversations tonight. I thought everybody did a good job listening to both sides. And then finally, happy Independence Day, and we'll see you at the parade.
Thank you very much. I didn't have much this week. I attended the Gene Fisher Memorial Flag Retirement Ceremony at Greene County Fairgrounds. They retired over 5,700 flags. When they went up, it was a sight to see. And then I spent the last week with my wife on vacation in Washington, D.C., and everything was good except for the weather. It rained for 3 days, and it was 100 degrees the rest of the time, so it was not good. And that's pretty much all I have. Mr. Landrum.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Real quick tonight, the city manager's report. Yes, 4th of July celebration. The parade starts at 6 at Meadow Bridge, east of Dayton, Xenia. So that's where it starts, ends at the high school. That starts at 6, and then down at the Rotary Park from 7 to 10:30. Fireworks start at 10, but come out and enjoy the live music. Hopefully this year we'll save off the rain. We almost made it last year. But come out and join the celebration. Happy 4th. Summer concert series continues through July 27th, so we have another month. I guess another 5 if you want to count it, Sundays left of the concert series. Last night it was a great sized crowd, different types of music, so come out, bring a lawn chair, and this is at Lafino Park, so Dominic Lafino Park, so come out and join us for the good time. Explore Beavercreek, this is again a challenge that's going on to win some exciting prizes that we've had donations provide to us, so this is experiencing everything Beavercreek Parks and Rec and Culture has to offer. So fun, simple challenge, encourage residents to get outside, get involved. The deadline to complete the challenge and submit your entry is August 1st. And learn more about it, participate, beavercreekohio.gov/explore Beavercreek. Citizen Academy, we have just a couple spots left. This is going to start in August. Please sign up. Go to our website and register online there. It is a 8-week course, very thorough, very well participated. We usually about 30 is where we cut it off. I think we're right up against that. So please sign up if you have any interest in it. And electric aggregation, these will be hitting the mailboxes if they I haven't seen mine yet, but they should be hitting the mailbox this next week. They are online. This is a picture of one, but it's a sample letter, what it will look like. It will have Beavercreek logo on it, Constellation as well at the fixed rate. It is an opt-out program. You can learn more about the program on our website. This does beat the new AES standard. That will be 9.45 cents beginning June something. So we're still at our old rate through August. This will begin September billing cycle. So look for the opt-out. The person that wants to continue with the electric aggregation program does not need to do anything. Only at the point that you do not want to be in a program, you want to either stay with AES or you want to switch to any provider you select. Do you need then to either fill out the form, send it back in, or simply call the 1-800 number and say, I want to opt out. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Citizen comments. Anything you want to address the council on any subject? You have 3 minutes.
To council, Cindy Cherry, I need clarification on where we are going with the zoning issue. There was more information, and then there was major mod. You want, okay.
I think talk to Mr. Burkett, and he'll have all the information for you. Seeing none, Charles?
Move be adjourned, Your Honor.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.